She bought a, she had
I don't know, everybody wants to do it.
We started to begin.
yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 3rd, 2024 Selectmen's Meeting for the Town of Ware. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up on our agenda is SNHPC discussing the Ware Transportation Survey results, and then after that we will move into public comment, followed by 3 public hearings. So, Ben, when you're ready. If you want to pull that towards you.
Right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ben Herbert. I am the Regional Mobility Manager for the Southern New Hampshire Regional Coordinating Council for Community Transportation. I'm going to be talking about the results of this transportation needs survey that myself and a couple other people here in Ware have been circulating throughout this town for the past couple of months. So if you've seen these posted in some place and you've been wondering what the heck is this and what is this all about, well, now we're going to find out today. So just for some background on this whole project, as a mobility manager myself, I have the role of working with individuals who need assistance in finding transportation, particularly rides to medical appointments, grocery stores, etc. Basically whoever can't get to where they need to go. And Ware is one of the communities within the region that I serve, and it's always been a particular challenge trying to find transportation for those in Ware to reach out to me. And these grievances haven't been aired not just to me, but also to Helene over here and other people at the Hand in Hand Senior Center. And it's no surprise to us because this is what the transportation landscape sort of looks like in Ware and the surrounding area. So in all these surrounding communities, they have some sort of transportation service available to them. So Dunbarton, Hopkinton, Henniker, and Deering all have mid-state transit based out of Concord. They do the normal bus service in Concord, but also run a volunteer driver program that serves all those communities. The White Birch Center in Henniker also runs a volunteer driver program, and so does the town of Hopkinton through a dial-a-ride service ran out of the town office. And then when you go down to the southwest in Francistown, a separate volunteer driver company operates in that town as well. And then in New Boston and Goffstown, which has been my region, we have the Manchester Transit Authority operating a regional free shuttle service for the residents. And then there's also the Caregivers in Goffstown, which is another volunteer driver company, volunteer driver program. But Ware doesn't have any type of these programs existing in its community outside of any sort of statewide service that says it covers everything in the state, but that tends to vary. So because of this, we all came together, myself, Helene Kirk over at Hand in Hand, Naomi Bolton here, as well as Sylvia right here with the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. We all came together and decided it would be a good idea to develop a transportation needs survey to help take the needs, the unmet needs of the town of Ware, and have it on paper. Because a lot of us know there's needs here that aren't being met, but we just needed to have it shown on paper. So when we developed the survey, we promoted it through various media channels, so on like various Facebook pages. We had flyers out, we had drop boxes. Sylvia and I attended a few events. We did a little walkthrough of the survey at one of the Hand in Hand Senior Center luncheons. And we also did tabling at the local town election this past, was it March? Yes, past March. Yeah, you might have seen me there tabling outside as well as Sylvia and a couple other people. And we ran this from the end of February to the beginning of May, and throughout that time frame we had 346 responses. So there was about 18 questions. I'm going to go through not every single question, but most of the questions, because a lot of them were important, and do a they play a significant role in highlighting what the transportation needs are in the town of Ware, and what this could sort of lead us to, what sort of solution this could catalyze us into. So when we started off, we asked people what is their age to get an understanding of what the demographic is for the respondents. And 157 respondents, or 46% of all survey respondents, were of ages 65 years or older. And over half of respondents, so 54%, or 185 of them, were under the age of 65. Which is important because when we think of transportation needs, a lot of us tend to think that it's just an issue pertaining to older residents and or those with disabilities. But this goes way beyond just age and disabilities. It might be low income, if you just don't have a car for some reason, no license. You'll see later on, I'm getting ahead of myself, like 5 questions ahead of myself on the first question, but you'll see how this all comes into play. So the next question we ask in people, what section of Ware do they live in? We talk about South Ware, North Ware, the Ware Village Center, the Lake Horace area, and then the other option, which allows people to explain to us where exactly they are located in Ware. And 250 respondents, or about 3/4 of all respondents, lived in either South Ware or North Ware. And then when people went into the other category, they mostly said East Ware. And so I took these answers and I kind of categorized them in the background, just so we don't have, what is it, what was the other choice? 7% of people saying other, and then this is what it looks like. So now you have 4% of people in East Ware, and then 1% not a Ware resident, and 1% being unsure. And then this is what it looks like when you map it out. So the distribution is mostly between South Ware and North Ware, as well as the Ware Village Center, then Lake Horace, and then a couple other people based out in East Ware. Then we ask people if they drive, either yes, no, or they don't need to drive. And 96% said yeah, they drive. And then out of the all the people who said that they were age 85 or older, over half of them said that they don't drive, so 57% of survey respondents over the age of 85. And then 8% of respondents aged 75 to 84 said they don't drive, and then 1% aged 65 to 74 said they don't drive. So you see this sort of exponential shoot up in not being able to drive based on someone's age. When you're 65 to 74, 1%, 75 to 84, 8%. And then once you're over 85, that number is shooting up to 57%. And then we ask, if you drive, do you anticipate not being able to drive in the future? So the answers we had were, it's not something I think about, which is what 41% of people chose. So when people said that, it could be they don't want to think about that because it scares them. The idea of picking up your keys scares you. Or they are just like, I don't think about it, it just doesn't cross my mind. But either or, that was the most common choice for people. Following at some point after a decade or so at 21%, 19% said unsure, 10% said within the next 5 to 10 years, 6% within the next few years, and 2% within the next year. And so when we isolate this into the bottom two, so within the next year and within the next few years, that's 29 people, or 8% of respondents. 29 people within the next few years anticipate not being able to drive. And then we add third lowest one in there within the next 5 to 10 years, that number shoots up to 61 people, or 19%. So that's within the next decade, 61 respondents think they will be able to drive anymore. Then we ask if people struggle with getting to places they need to go. 92% said no, they don't. They have no problem with it. 8% said that they do. And of the 28 people, or 8%, who struggle with getting to places they need to go, 57% of them were aged 65 years or older, or 16 people. And then 21% / 6 people were aged 55 to 64, 7% / 2 people, 40 and 54, as well as 30 and 49, and then one person at 18 to 29. Which this tells an interesting story because, as I was saying in one of the previous questions about how we tend to think of transportation issues being a sort of isolated problem amongst older adults, this tells us that it's not. We have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people under the age of 65 saying that they struggle to get to where they need to go, which is a really important thing to notice in this survey. And then we ask if people know somebody who struggles to get around. So if it's a friend, neighbor, or family member, 20% of people said that they do, 24% said they weren't sure, and 56% said no. And so 20% of people, which was 68 respondents, is 1 in 5 survey respondents of the survey saying, I know somebody who has issues getting around. And then we also have 24%, which isn't sure. So it could be more than 68 people. Maybe those who aren't sure. It could mean varying things. What was the, you helped me out with this earlier. What were we
I
talking
did.
about? Sure.
This is sort of now you're starting to guess what people are thinking when they say unsure about something. It could mean they're just not sure how much their neighbor who is 85 or 80 or maybe younger, they've never seen them go out of the house maybe, and they're just not sure if the person can go, but we're just summarizing, so let's keep going.
Thank you. I'll tap back in. Thank you. Question 7, we asked how often are you or somebody you know unable to get to where you or they need to go because of not having a way to get there. So we start at once a week or more often, about 4% of respondents. The same goes for more than once a month. Just about once a month, that's 5%. Several times a year, that's 10%. Rarely or infrequently, that's 27%. And then 50% said, I don't struggle to get into places I need to go. When we isolate this into the top 3 choices, so once a month, more than once a month, once a week or more often, it tells us that on a monthly occurrence, 46 survey respondents, or 13%, either struggle themselves or know someone who struggles with getting to where they need to go, and nearly half of our respondents indicated that they struggle at some degree to get to where they need to go. So that's outside of the top 3. That's also several times or rarely and frequently. But going back to the top 3 on the monthly occurrence, that's 46 respondents, at least once a month. Either struggle or know somebody who struggles. Then we ask if you or someone you know have difficulty traveling day or night to the following places due to not being able to not being able to drive. They can select all the reasons that apply. As you can see, school was the lowest reason at 1%, followed by work at 4%, other at 5%, religious services, so church at 7%, social outings 14%, and then shopping and grocery stores 20%, and medical and dental appointments at 23%. And within my field and experience, shopping and medical appointments are usually the most common reason for people making trips. And then, excuse me, some of the examples of other when people gave their specific reasons was those anticipating this as their parents' age, those having a disabled son who relies on a parent for all transportation, just needing rides to the Hand-in-Hand Senior Center, or if someone can't take their car for some reason, there's no other alternative for them to get around. And then if you or someone you know have difficulty finding a ride, please select all the reasons that apply. So you see no transportation options at 49%, followed by not knowing who to call to request a ride, 47%. Friends and family are not able to provide a ride at 43%. I don't drive at night at 34%. Other at 25%, not having money for the fare, 17%, and then a wheelchair accessible vehicle is needed at 8%. And some of the examples of the other responses include difficulty obtaining a driver's license due to being on the autism spectrum. One respondent is deaf and blind, and needs a tactile interpreter and a guide. And someone said that last year they had surgery and could not drive themselves to and from the hospital. They looked all over for options for a ride and had a hard time trying to find anything. A family member ended up coming from out of town to help them. But that last story is a very common story, not just in the town of Ware, but all throughout New Hampshire. And then we asked, what programs would respondents support for those who cannot drive? So older adults or those with disabilities. The 3 examples we gave were a taxi or similar private service voucher program in which Ware residents would get discounted rides supported by local tax dollars. And that had a 40% support rate amongst respondents. A Ware van service utilizing a town-owned vehicle and town-supported drivers, also supported by local tax dollars at 49%. And then the last option was a volunteer driver program coordinated with Ware volunteer drivers, having 90% support amongst all survey respondents. And if we assume that, you can't really see in the bottom corner because it got cropped out a bit, but we had 43 people skip this question. So if we assume that the 43 people skip this question because they don't support any of these options, that's 12%, which is lower than all the other 3 options. We dive a bit more into the volunteer driver program. If Ware has a volunteer driver program, would you see yourself using the service for transportation? 17% said yes, 49% said no, and then 34% said that they weren't sure. And then out of the 14 respondents in one of the previous questions who said that they don't drive, 8 of those would use the VDP, and that's 57%. 5 of them weren't sure, so that's 36%, and then 1 of them just skipped the question. But none of those respondents said that they wouldn't use it, which is a good thing to keep in mind. And then we ask, if Ware has a volunteer driver program, would you see yourself volunteering to provide rides for Ware residents? We had 28% of people said yes, they would see themselves, 38% not being sure, 31% being no, and then 3% not owning or driving a vehicle. And 28% of respondents was 97 people on this question. 97 people said that they could see themselves becoming volunteers to provide rides for people. And that's for 8 respondents who indicated that they do not drive. And so we have 97 people that see themselves helping for 8 people in the town of Ware. And not even just 97, because 38% were not sure. So it's a minimum of 97, maximum of, can't do the math right now, but you get the idea. And then if available, how often would you use the transportation service to go shopping for medical reasons? Or go shopping or for medical reasons? And so once a week or more at 3%, about once a month, 6%, 11% more than once a month, 26% rarely or infrequently, and then 55% never. But when we look at the first 3 choices, so once a week or more, about once a month, or more than once a month, that's 65 people, or 20%, would use transportation where either from once a month to once a week or more often. And out of these 65 respondents, 83% of them are in favor of a volunteer driver program for Ware. 68% of them are in favor of the town van service funded through local tax dollars, supported through local tax dollars, and 49% are in favor of a taxi voucher program supported by local tax dollars. So you see, the volunteer driver program is basically the most supported and most favored option here.
How much longer do you have?
Not that long. This is the last question. And then, should the transportation program be established and where? How much could you afford to pay? When we put this question, we figured people would pick all the ranges that apply to them. Some did. Others just picked the highest amount that they could afford. So what I did was I took these responses and kind of categorized them into each person's highest fare that they chose, what's the maximum they could afford. And we see that those who could only do it free, that was 5%, less than $5, 9%, 39% at $5 to $10, 22% at $10 to $20, $20 to $30, 9%, and then 16% had other things to say. And out of the 25 respondents who could afford a maximum $5 fare for transportation, 20% of those struggle with getting around. Out of the 110 respondents who can afford a maximum of $10 for transportation, 7% of those struggle. And then out of the 61 respondents who can afford a maximum $20 fare, 11% of those struggle. And so the next steps of this, obviously having a conversation with the board, having a conversation with our regional coordinating council. If what the town of Ware wants to take on some sort of transportation program, what would that look like? How would the RCC support them? Having conversations with the other volunteer driver programs and their willingness to expand into Ware, the ones that you saw on the map at the beginning of this presentation. Then also having conversations with other local transportation programs throughout the region about what the back end looks like, if they have operational costs, any budget allocations, if they do the whole thing out of pocket, etc. Just knowing how they get it going and how that could be applied to Ware. And that's the end of that presentation. If you have any questions or comments, I'm all ears.
I don't have any questions, except for maybe to you. what do you guys plan to do with this? You
I
gonna
think
come
what-
up?
This podium. You gotta move
That's
the
okay.
podium back, probably.
This was kind of spearheaded by your organization, so
Okay, cover that.
looking for,
Well, we reached out.
right, but what do you plan on doing? Is there a plan yet, I guess?
To really pursue the volunteer program. Let's see, I have a couple of people that I deliver to, and one of the problems is they don't have food some weeks because they can't go shopping. And I've tried to touch base with people that I thought would help, and it's always been short-lived, like 1 or 2 times, and then falls apart. So I really need a program. They've connected me with people I can talk to and have a discussion. It's something that's not happening overnight,
Right.
but I think that it's fair to say that as a community, we need to be aware of people who are not self-sustaining, and that we need to find a way to do it. But the volunteer program, it seems to me, especially since we had a good number of people who said they would drive if we...
97 people said that they would drive, 28 people.
Yeah,
So-
so once we get going, but it's a whole structure, and so it'll take a while before I can pick everybody's brain. I have the support of Sylvia and Ben to go forward with it, but nothing is going to happen until after the summer.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for Ben? I didn't mean to hijack the discussion. Well, great
And if
information.
anybody, is dying to help out, if you please contact me at the senior center, that would be great.
And for the record, you're Helene Kirk.
Say what?
For the record, you're Helene Kirk.
I'm still Helene Kirk. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Give me a call.
Hi, I'm Clarence Gardner on John Connor Road.
Be going to help.
I'm wondering, generally when we say volunteer programs, and all these neighboring towns have one or have something, is that I'm available on Saturday, or give me a call when you need a ride, I'll be there in 5 minutes, or...
So basically how most volunteer driver programs operate is that someone will like make an inquiry through like their like office or call center or whatever and just say, I need transportation on next Tuesday at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. for a doctor's appointment. Can you help me out? So then that VDP will contact all their drivers and say, this person needs a ride on this date, on this time, for this location. Is anybody available to pick up this ride? And then if somebody is, they'll just indicate that they'll pick it up, and then that's essentially how it goes. The thing about joining an existing service is that they already have all like the back-end operational stuff handy. So if they were to expand into a town, there wouldn't need to be any sort of like infrastructure built within the town of Ware to support that. But even then, if none of these organizations want to expand in the Ware, plenty of them have actually been able to do it on their own without any sort of like budget or funding or whatever. They just started off with like a simple like Google Sheets spreadsheet, which is enough people willing to like commit to it and offer rides.
Thank you.
Yep.
Add to that?
Good evening, Sylvia Von Alrock, Executive Director of Southern New Hampshire Planning. And just to answer that question a little bit, so what is it, how would this work out if this group had a volunteer driver program? Well, first, most of the existing programs have a volunteer driver coordinator. So that's important. They have a whole system in place, all administration, all of that kind of thing. That's all in place. So it isn't that you just, hey, I need a ride, come get me. That's not how it works at all. All the drivers are vetted. All the drivers also decide on how many rides they want to give. They pick and choose which rides they want to give. There's an entire, you can imagine the spreadsheet that these different places have. And so one of the ideas is, for this town, if none of the existing volunteer driver programs can help you out and expand their boundaries, because that's difficult for them, then you'd maybe look at starting your own here, and maybe there's funding for that kind of software to create that. The town of Sandown, right, they have their own volunteer driver program for their own town, and the police department house it. And they have an entire program set up in their police department. The town of Wyndham, they own a van, and they coordinate their rides. But there's always a coordinator involved. There's a lot of scheduling involved. So not only are the drivers vetted, but when you're also wanting to have a ride, every volunteer driver program is a little different. There are thresholds on some, they will only do medical rides, or, every place is a little different. You folks can decide your own. If you decide to have it in your own town, you decide what the criteria are, and who would administrate that. And so, that would be all up to your team. But we're working, we've already been contacting 3 of the 4 volunteer driver programs. So far, none of them have been able to, well, at least 2 of them have said no outright. We're waiting on 2 more. And Ben is working very hard to try to find an existing volunteer driver program that could expand its boundaries. And then, so we'll get back to you when we find out more, and yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Appreciate your time this night. Public comment, we have 5 minutes or 4 minutes before we go into a public hearing, so if there are more public comment than that, we will pick it up after we get done with the public hearings, or in between if time permits.
Thank you. David Erickson, 246 Poor Farm Road. There were some concerns about establishing the Energy Committee, so I just wanted to bring in some advice from Sarah Cook of Clean Energy New Hampshire. The previous board saw fit to pay the membership for Clean Energy New Hampshire, so we have been working with them as a volunteer study group. Clean Energy New Hampshire has worked with 69 communities on over 160 energy-related projects over the past 5 years. Our team can provide coaching templates and connections to other towns with projects you can learn from or replicate. The Energy Committee is a volunteer committee that works at the pleasure of the Select Board. You have no, when she says you, Sarah is talking to us, the volunteers. You have no power or budget. Nothing actually happens. No money gets spent by the town without going before the voters. You would be connected with Clean Energy New Hampshire to ensure the town is aware of any and all grant opportunities that could make investments in energy efficiency and renewable energy even more attractive to voters. With the blessing of the Select Board, the committee would volunteer their time to scope out possible projects, including costs, benefits, and funding opportunities, then support the Select Board in bringing those projects before the town for a vote. There are projects that would require the town to shell out money. Typically, a town would only decide to directly purchase or bond for an energy-saving project if the payback was impressive. There are lighting, energy efficiency, and solar projects that have paybacks between 1 and 10 years, with impressive cost savings for the town over the life of the investment. Common examples include street lighting or building lighting retrofits, not something we have a big need for in Wales perhaps. Air sealing and insulation for the town hall, and I know the library needs to be looked at for those kinds of savings. Common examples, never mind. And then solar panels at our landfill is another possibility that Dunbarton looked into and Bow looked into and saved quite a bit. There are also projects that require no upfront costs to the town. For example, power purchase or lease agreements with companies who will develop solar on town property and sell the power back to the town at a competitive rate. So there's very little risk to the town, Sarah says, in establishing an energy committee. There's only the significant potential for reduction of town energy costs, which benefit every taxpayer. So I do hope you would be willing to move ahead to establish our energy committee. I don't see any risks to the town, and I see a lot of benefits, and you would be in control. I agreed with a concern of the speaker a few weeks ago who said it was confusing if I think one of our members referred to us as the Ware Energy Committee. It's fine to be the Ware Energy Study Group, for example, until we're established.
We appreciate the additional information. Thank you. And your continued zeal for making this happen. Anyone else for public comment? If not, we'll open the,
Howdy,
hi.
Ricky Hepler, Quaker Street. Been following loosely on the utility truck body at the fire department. While I agree as a user, it's not the best one, absolutely not. I'm a little concerned about the method of just letting the DPW have it. That was purchased with the special revenue fund, so it wasn't like it was a taxation based warrant article. To me, I know that the chief's, he was here last year for a fire truck. Selectmen that came up and said, that there's going to be a budgetary shortfall if we get that for the new ambulance, et cetera. And again, no fault of Jason for getting his body, no fault of the fire chief for trying to, make what's right and fit for the department. But it didn't seem like any of you guys asked if we could sell it or try and turn it on municipal bid or gov deals, or maybe the dealer could have tried and sold it before we put it on the truck and painted it. Even if we took a 50% loss on it, it would have been some kind of money to come back, unanticipated revenue, and we could have put it back in that special revenue fund with a warrant article. So just a little disappointed you guys didn't even ask the question. Thank you.
We're going to open the public hearing for the speed limit on Flanders Memorial, reducing the speed limit from 35 to 30. Chief, do you want to go over just a small bit about the information that you collected on the speed, and then we'll hear from Mr. Gannon if you'd like to speak.
So just to summarize what the police department did, we got our 2 mobile speed signs, and we deployed them. I believe that was back in, April, here we go, April, for 2 weeks in 3 different locations, tracking traffic in both directions. Of the vehicles we saw that were speeding, half of them were between the hours we're not in service, between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. There are some very high speeds that are speeding. We looked at 5 years worth of crash data and found only 2 crashes on Flanders that were related to speed. It's a quality of life issue, so it's not necessarily a safety issue. From a police department perspective, it would be beneficial if the community adopted a town-wide speed limit of either 30 or 35, whichever direction we would go. And speaking with former Chairman Hippler, kind of the philosophy of that is, obviously you know how much turnover we have on the police department, and we have a very large area patrol. The longer an officer takes to familiarize himself with the community, for instance, if he observes a speeder going one way, all of our cars are equipped with mobile radar, he might not be sure of what the exact speed limit is in that area because it continually changes, and we would opt to not stop a car if we weren't sure.
That's a subject for another meeting.
Right, yeah, so, well, I mean, it kind of ties in if you're looking at lowering it. We just want to be consistent. That's it. That's from a police department perspective. Any other questions regarding that?
Summary.
Okay.
Mr. Gannon, do you have anything you'd like to say before we open it up to the public?
No. I mean, I've been here a few times. I think everyone's, Paul Gannon, Flanders Memorial Road, everyone's pretty aware of my position. And again, I appreciate the chief and his work and his effort. And I know I've been a thorn in his side a little bit, but he's been very responsive and helpful. And I do believe it is a safety issue, it's definitely a quality of life issue, but I think that the reduction of the speed limit could only work to make sure that we never have, the accidents that we've missed, fortunately, so far. So, thank you.
Open it up for public comment. You'll state your name, please. Sure.
Beth Muse, I live right across the street, and I've seen 3 accidents on Flanders Memorial right in front of my house over the past, 6 months. Some of them, I think, are related to how people are approaching the turn on that corner into Flanders Memorial, and I know one was a vehicle that had crossed over from the other intersection, and it was like a San Francisco moment. And so I think that perhaps putting lines up where people know where they need to stop, not necessarily a stop sign, but something to indicate, pull up to this point so that you can clearly see when you're taking that left turn off of 114 onto Flanders Memorial, that you're not going to hit a pedestrian, because one of those accidents was a pedestrian hit on that corner. And I was almost hit sitting at that intersection with someone who came very close to hitting the front end of my car. And again, it's because I think people are cutting that short. So speed is an issue, and I also think that, not turning safely into the road is a concern for me. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Rick Hipple, Craig Street again. I don't really have a horse in the race, but, in my short conversation with the chief out in the hallway, 30 miles an hour is fine, but this is a big town, 64 square miles. There's only 2 officers on at one time. Enforcement's going to be the issue. Enforcement's the issue now, I think, for keeping that at the 35 mile an hour spot. The department does a hell of a job. This is no dig against them. It's just a big town. There's a lot going on in it for 2 officers. So if 30 miles an hour makes you feel good, then okay, but I think speeding is still going to be a problem, unfortunately.
Hello, Clarence Gardner. I'm certainly not a street architect or anything, but I just wanted to point out on the subject of, drawing a line in the road, that will make people stop who aren't going to turn. And, there's no stop sign, but a line like that is usually accompanied by a stop sign, and that could cause problems in itself.
Anyone else?
Frank Campana. I would not object to the lowering of the speed limit, but if I could comment or get a response from what the police chief said, he kind of went off topic and described the town-wide speed limit. If that comes up for discussion, is there going to be a public hearing on that?
Yes,
do you think?
There would.
Perfect.
Thank you for your question. Okay. Anyone else for a public comment?
I did have
was
a
gonna say,
neighbor reach out to me.
Oh, okay.
And I guess asked if I could, at least take it in consideration, so I feel like I should say it
Yeah,
on
please.
behalf of them. So I live on Duck Pond Road, which connects Flanders to 114, as Flanders connects to 114. And they were worried that if the speed limit were lowered from 35 to 30 on Flanders, then more people would be coming down Duck Pond Road at 30, and asked if that could also be dropped to 25, kind of lower them both together. So I said I would, repeat that.
Well, that would require a separate public hearing in order
Sure.
to do that. we can't officially do them together.
Yep.
So, did you explain that, or? Is that-
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah, and I know we're not getting into it, but the townwide, and we started talking about the townwide, I don't know, probably a month ago. And DPW Director Fisk mentioned, hey, other towns do paved one, dirt another, usually 30 and 25. And that's been stuck in my head. I really like that idea, so.
Okay.
I know we're talking about Flanders, but
Okay. I'll close the public comment, hearing no other public comment, and it's up to the board now to say your piece. Any discussion?
I think I jumped the gun.
Nope, you were correct in bringing it up during the public comment, since it was someone that asked you to say it,
Yep.
I believe.
Yep.
You know, I travel Flanders every time I come here. I'm always looking at my speedometer now as I'm traveling down to see how fast I'm going. For the most part, I'm at 30 most of the road, but down past Holly Hill, I think it's Holly.
One at the top of the hill.
Yeah, so going down towards Hodgson, it's usually in there. And usually, when I look, I'm somewhere around 40. But generally, up in the area you're talking about, I'm around 30. So I don't think it's a big deal to lower speed, but it's kind of in your mind. I agree. It's almost like two zones. You got more heavily populated area in the west, so. I don't think it's a problem, but people traveling down on the other end are probably gonna have a tougher time sticking to that 30.
That's kind of where I was if we're changing it. If that was the idea, then I would probably want to do that line, Holly Hill onward as 30 and leave west of that 35. Because it's just a straight line.
Yeah.
You can
Then-
see the whole hill up and down for the most part there.
Like the chief said, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
have that double, double speed on the road. So.
For me, I think lowering the speed limit, I think would generally lower, people's expectations of how they're going to drive on that. Because if people are driving, if it's 35 now, and people are driving 40 or 45, it would drop to 30, then I would expect the average speed to drop as well, and for anybody who's going over that. As we discussed, people are going to drive whatever speed they feel comfortable at. There's going to be, some people are like, well, this is the speed limit, and that's what they're going to drive at. I tend to drive a little bit, the speed limit or under most places. So, just because when I'm in a residential area and 35, I generally don't think that's a safe speed for that place. I'm going to go 30 in most of the places. So, like I said, I don't see any real issue with it. People are going to drive whatever speed they're going to want to drive. I don't think it's a question of enforcing it so much. It's just setting people's expectations. This is what we're recommending, and hopefully that they'll abide by that as best they can.
I think if we decided to kind of dovetail on that, I would ask that we keep the signs back out and see if we change it, did the change actually make any difference at all?
The signs, meaning the police.
The radars, yeah. Because that may inform, future speed discussions, yeah.
Right. There's going to be a time delay in there too. You drop it from 30 to 35, and it's going to take somebody 6 months. Oh, it changed.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen instantly.
Everybody's GPS needs to get updated.
So when you do post a new speed limit, can you also post something stating it's newly posted speed limit, so it's...
Big banner over the road.
Just because everyone travels that. Whoever travels it every day,
Right.
probably not even gonna notice.
Exactly.
Use the sign trail from DPW.
That's what I was thinking. Mr. Hippler
Thank you.
said we could use the sign trailer from the DPW, and I had that same thought. We could also put something out on the Ware blastogram that was changed. I don't know what you call it, Naomi, but news from the town center emails. So somebody mentioned, I think two people mentioned, keep the, what I will call the top portion at 35 and make the lower portion 30. Any more discussion around that?
What do you mean by top portion and lower portion?
So going from Holly Hill to
Clinton Grove.
Clinton Grove, yes. So going down that way, be at 35, and then the opposite direction from Holly Hill down to 114 and 30. I don't know if we're going to do that.
Yeah,
I think you want
just,
one speed
yeah, I
limit.
was just wondering if we had any more discussion. I'm not saying I want to do it or don't want to do it.
Right.
I'm in favor of it. Just
Of a split?
that from Holly Hill heading west, I think, again, people are gonna go the speed they're gonna go, but, so theoretically, if somebody's going 30 now, it is gonna take forever to get all the way down to Hodgson, right? And it could impact people every single day. I don't know. When I travel it pretty often, live right around there. I think 35 is reasonable
For that stretch.
for that stretch.
It's not a road that I travel on a regular basis, so. Not sure why there's necessarily had it split, but,
So we gotta put two more signs then. Up at
Yeah.
that section.
Or move some of the signs that are below.
There's only one, there's one on one end.
other than to the chief's point that it's causing one road to have two speed limits on it, and they'll just have to make sure they know exactly where they are.
Since we started talking about this split idea after closing, kind of the public comment side, how do y'all feel about opening that back up for just this part?
We have time to do that if you'd like. Anyone have public comment on a split in the speed limit as outlined a minute ago?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Thank you, Salem. I was gonna ask for that. I think that's probably a good idea, because like Selectman Pratt said, that's a long straightaway, and I've caught myself 40, 45. It gets way before you. It's a very nice, smooth road, so, at that end. But honestly, anybody that does from Holly Hill to 114, if they're doing 35, they're foolish in all those corners, but I know that they do it, so. But I think that'd be a good idea, and my only comment to the town-wide speed limit, River Road, if you started at Concord Stage and went to New Boston, you might get there tomorrow at 30 miles an hour, so.
Yeah, and I don't know if I let the chief finish that discussion, but it's unless otherwise posted.
Right.
So it wouldn't be that every road gets turned into 30 miles an hour. So people at home don't panic. That's not what we're talking about. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Hearing no further discussion, I'll accept a motion of some kind if anyone would like to make it.
What is the road name of Holly Hill?
Holly Hill. Holly Hill Farm.
Holly Hill Farm Road? Holly Hill Farm Road?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll make a motion that we alter the speed limit of Flanders Memorial from Holly Hill Road eastward, dropping it to 30 and leaving it 35 from Holly Hill Farm Road westward.
Second.
a motion by Selectman Bloom.
I'm sorry, can I amend that? Because I do want to, do you have any problem, Chief, with putting the radars back out?
One's a school radar, so we would be able to get that when school's in session. We could do it possibly during summer as long as schools would allow. We can do whatever with ours.
Okay.
But
But
we
you
kind
had
of
both
have
out
to do
before?
apples to apples too.
Yeah.
So,
But you had 2 out before or 1 out before?
two
Yeah.
during the latest
Okay.
time, getting both ways.
Okay. When does school get out?
Yeah, it's not much longer.
19th. So yeah, I guess, I don't know that I need to amend the motion, but that's my intention, is I'd like to see that happen.
It'll probably take some time for DPW to get signs, get them
Sure.
up and everything like that anyway, so.
So the motion was to alter the Flanders Memorial Holly Hill East to 30 and Holly Hill West, keep at 35, Holly Hill Farm. And that was seconded by Selectman Pratt. Any further discussion on that?
Do we want to set a starting date for that, like August or September? Or just leave it open to
Yeah, I
when
think
it's
it's whenever
available?
we can get the signs done and get the, no, because I don't want to,
I was
we
just thinking
can't,
for
we can't
public-
enforce
for public-
something that isn't posted, so.
I was just thinking, for public notification, saying
Yeah.
that the sign speed limit will be changed.
So we put out the sign and have the trailer available to make the statement, so you know it has been changed,
Yeah, something like that.
which Jason will coordinate that
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a date to be determined after discussion with DPW director.
Okay.
Second remains.
Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Okay, all in favor, say yes or yay? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? I heard 4 yays, so it passes. That will close the public hearing on the speed limit on Flanders Memorial Road. Did anyone else want to make general public comment? I saw Joshua, would he want to jump in here and do his Eagle Scout till we get to 7:30? Is that part of the discussion? Not. Okay.
Me, right?
If you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're Joshua? Yep.
Welcome.
Hi.
That's a lot of badges.
You should
You're a
see the
hard
ones
worker.
of the other people in our troop. It's a lot. Is there a way to present? I have a slideshow. I was just wondering. If not, that's fine.
If you just have something, if you want to pass it out, we can
Oh.
take a look at it.
Yeah. If you wanna get that one by one, let you do that one. Talk.
This will just save us time from setting up the computer, so. We're ready when you are.
So for my Eagle Scout service project of Troop 529 here in Ware, I would like to install a granite Kinney style bench and a granite bell post at the fire department. It'll be on a stone brick patio. I don't really know how to say that, patio or whatever. And it'll be engraved in memoriam of Chief Eaton, and it should be started in hopefully July. There we go. My project includes the reconstruction of the service area at my local fire department, the installation of a granite kidney-style bench in honor of former Chief Ray Eaton, and as requested by my beneficiary, a granite bell post. It was also requested that pylons be installed too, as most of them are either off the property or just not where they're supposed to be. I decided to do this project as Mr. Ian was a huge contributor to the town and to the fire department. As most of you probably know, he served many positions within our town and was also a member of the Air Force. When I was deciding to do this project, I felt that something should be done for him, and I felt that a bench and service area would be right, as there's nothing at the fire department to honor him currently. I don't really have anything else other than the description. Most of the information is on that slideshow. Oh.
Can you talk through, so we have the cost slide up, can you talk through how you plan on fundraising and whatnot?
Yeah, so hopefully, I'm gonna be, I don't really know, there's a form to request use of the middle school. I'll be doing that shortly or whenever I need to. But I plan to host a charity cornhole tournament at the middle school. It'll be grills to cook burgers and hot dogs. I'm hoping to get fire departments out there, maybe bring some trucks, and kind of have a family event. And I'm also going to be selling engraved bricks where people can put their name for the project. Kind of like the flagpole at the middle school. There's a bunch of bricks on the ground with names. I'm hoping to do something like that. And I think it's, yeah, actually no, the press is already on there, but yeah.
Organizing that's as ambitious as the project itself. Probably more. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it goes well. I'm really excited to do it. I talked with Mr. Rorick a while ago. I think it was in the winter that we discussed this project, and he was a go for it. Yeah, I just needed the benefit approval from the town to build and execute the project, as the fire department is town property.
Do you have an approximate location of where this will be? Will it be out front or on the side?
It'll be out front near the flagpole.
Okay. You might have said that, I apologize.
No problem.
And what's your timeline?
I'm hoping, so Wednesday night, I'm going to my Eagle Scout council, where they will make the final approval and let me move on. And then early July, I'm hoping to have that fundraiser. And then I'll be speaking to companies for the bench and post. And then after that, it'll be the installation phase with the company, as I would like it done professionally. And then after that, me and my troop are going to come out, plant flowers, landscape the area, and make it look good. And I'm hoping to have it done early fall.
And I believe what we've done in the past is just give a thumbs up right now, and then you'll come back to us when it's done for us to accept.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I will just need, you, actually, yeah, so as one of you, whoever decides to sign it, you'll be considered the beneficiary, and you'll need to sign my fundraising the fundraising application, and then my entire proposal itself. Yeah.
Would anyone like to motion the chair to sign that?
Do you need a mentor, Josh?
I have a project coach at my Scoutmaster.
I'll move that we authorize the chair to sign any paperwork necessary to move forward with Joshua Ascom's Eagle Scout project.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Me. I said yes, sorry. So used to it. That'll be 301, sorry.
So this is for you to keep. Sorry. There's no signatures required for that.
Okay.
And then
Look at that.
Minute taker might want
your approval.
to see what he's doing, because she's from another town. The minute taker might want whatever information, if it can end up.
Yeah, we'll pass this back down here.
Okay.
And then your signature will go where?
Right here?
Yep. And then the yes will be for I've given you those papers.
Okay.
And that is my fundraising application.
Give you copies of those? You good?
No, I just so she knows what he was talking about.
Okay. There you are. Good luck. Let us know when the fundraiser is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Nice work.
We needed that cleanup.
Oh. We're going to move on to the public hearing regarding discretionary preservation easement for 697 Reservoir Drive, tax map 102-050. Call that to order at 7:33. Naomi, does anybody have any information on what the impact to taxes would be?
While you're listening to the presentation, I can probably figure it out.
Okay. All right. Did one of you want to come up?
Sure. There's really nothing to present.
Okay.
We met, let's get a Hill. Prior to we met with the New Hampshire Agricultural Preservation, as noted in, I don't know if you guys received or reviewed, just a letter outlining that. Ms. Thomas basically makes sure that we meet the criteria. Improvements are being made to the buildings, history, so on and so forth, okay? The town is participating in this program, so that's not a question. We have had a total of 6 over the years. 1 is currently active. 1 recently went inactive. It's a 10-year window, and then you have to reapply and be re-reviewed. It's quite straightforward. Then if you meet that criteria, you make the application. The application goes to Avatar. Avatar makes sure that basically the buildings meet the 75-year-old tax records, which they do. The previous abatement amount has been established by the town. They currently have that one in play, and the second one, which has just lapsed, is going to be reapplied for. I don't know if you have questions regarding the history of the property or what we're doing on the property. I think some of the board members are familiar with it and the ongoing improvements. that have been happening. It is actually a pretty big piece of Ware history. The poultry industry was huge here at one point. And the farm was, I can show you a little handout if this helps. And it's not really decision-making, but just understanding. That's an article that was written in 1945 regarding the property.
Thank you.
So I don't know what else you want, Janice, but I kind of did the,
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It helps because everybody doesn't get the paper, so.
okay.
One of the criteria that you fall under is, and I'm not going to be able to quote it correctly, but that it, it's visible from the road and it's historical. So can you just describe to people, where they're going to see this on?
Sure,
said Reservoir
sure.
Road.
Anyone that travels up Reservoir Drive, our property abuts the Ware Deering line. The barn is an L, the long barn is an L. It's right on the road. At one time, we were actually a gas station too.
Really?
There was a mobile pump there. That was taken down in the early 80s, actually, so it's not that long ago. At least for me, it doesn't seem like that long ago. Yeah, it's a long green barn, small yellow cape, quintessential New England farm. My wife and I are stewards to one of the last remaining poultry farms. And it wasn't, again, doesn't seem like that many years ago, but, the Puringtons, the Purgos, the Colburns, they were all names in town. They were tied directly to the poultry industry. And it's one of the reasons I landed in Ware. I had a contract with Hubbard Farms producing hatch and eggs using that facility. Okay? Any questions, feel free. And also, always feel free to swing by. We still do have chickens.
Public comment? None?
Is it for the hearing or something?
This is for the hearing related to discretionary preservation easement on a property on Flanders. We have 3 of them going on tonight, so this is the related, I'm sorry, I said Flanders, I meant Colby. I'm sorry. Reservoir, thank you.
David Erickson, Poor Farm Road. I think it's great when we preserve things other than just the Cape, than just the typical buildings, that we have some of our history as an agricultural town. I wish we'd preserve a farm workers' cabin on Poor Farm Road that's collapsing. It's a lot of people lived in that kind of itinerant housing, and so let's keep our history.
Thanks.
Mr. Erickson? Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion of that public hearing. Anything from the board?
I would echo Mr. Erickson. I think it's important to preserve historical buildings outside of houses. My only questions were, we have discretion on the amount of the easement, somewhere between 25 and 75%. And so we had seen paperwork for the one that just lapsed, right?
No, mortgage is still in place.
Okay. So I guess we've seen one, but I was curious
The Browns have lapsed.
what others have been.
The only one I'm aware of is the Browns that just lapsed in 2023.
Do you know what that percentage was?
I don't, I'd be guessing. It's either 50 or 75.
And then same thing on what, I guess we'd have to pick a percentage first. If we were to pick a percentage, we'd have to pick a percentage and then determine what the tax impact would be. Because that was the other question I had, is what is the tax impact? Because, we're asking.
$702.70.
$702. So
A year.
we're effectively subsidizing, the preservation of a barn, and at what cost? So
$702.73.
at what percentage?
75%.
At 75%, $702.
$469.12 at 50%. If you're referring to 2019 minutes that I sent you, there was 2 that night. One gentleman never came back.
Okay.
There was one gentleman that didn't come back for this application.
But the Morley
Morley
now
one
went
is still
through,
in place.
and that was a 75%.
That was 75.
Yes, that's at 75%.
And it looks like you didn't, on your application, you didn't mention anything about what, or how, I don't know exactly how it was phrased, but you didn't really say what the benefit was or anything, but they came back with the answer that you really qualify under 2 of the sections as well, one for.
Sorry,
There were 2 sections that you actually qualify for the grant. One was the scenic enjoyment of the structure from public way, and the other was the structure is historically important on a local, regional, state, national level. So it's, it's not like it's a minor, he just squeaks in. It's actually a.
I just,
Kevin, could you
yeah,
come up?
sorry.
Thank you.
Just for clarity, when I spoke with the Preservation Alliance, it was, I mean, the discussion of the board if that's in fact, but I didn't understand it. The town accepts to participate in this RSA program, and they establish a percentage. I didn't understand it to be a case-by-case percentage. So how we have currently an active one and another one going to be reapplied, that basically there's some reasons why that one slipped through, but those are at an established rate. It's just my understanding that that's the rate the town has accepted and would have to change the rates across the board.
And so is my, my reading of it that it was by default case by case, but the town, I thought it was the legislative body could set a rate, and so I guess, I don't know if that was done. But if everybody has always been 75, then, there's also.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that being a different issue, topic for the future. But at the current rate, that's the rate it's set at. So, just being selective to an individual or, well, I don't drive by it, so no value to me, type of thing. I think it's just a consideration, that's all. Okay, thanks.
Any other board discussion? No? Okay. I'll accept a motion if someone would like to make it.
I move that we accept the application for a discretionary preservation easement filed by Jill Colburn, 697 Reservoir Drive, tax map 102050, at a rate of 75%.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say yes or yay? Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion passes at a rate of 75%. Thank you for preserving history.
Thank you.
Is there anything we have to sign, Naomi, tonight? or is
No,
this-
we'll prepare that.
Okay, I thought so.
Staying on track.
Ryan? I'll call that part of the agenda complete. Close the public hearing related to Reservoir Drive at 7:44 p.m. Since we have a few minutes before the 7:45 public hearing, actually I should say 7:45, so no use to get ahead of myself there. I'll call the public hearing to order related to Ware Winter Wanderers, upgrading portion of a Class 6 road, Melvin Valley Road and Peasley Road / South Road. Last time we were here,
Do you need me to speak to this?
you're more than welcome to give us an overview if you'd like. I was just
So,
saying,
for
last
those
time
who
we met,
weren't-
we talked to you, but.
What's that?
I was just about to say, last time we met, we talked with you, and you provided us some handouts, and we thought it would be good to get public input, and that's why
Yeah.
we're here tonight.
So just for the public's information who wasn't here, the Ware Winter Wanderers Snowmobile Club is asking the town for permission to upgrade 2 Class 6 roads. Both of them, well, one of them was visited by the fire chief. The other 2, both of the roads, let me put it that way, were visited by the Department of Public Works Director. Both of them said that these roads are in pretty tough shape and that they need to be addressed. We're talking about Peasley/South Road, which runs between River Road and Route 77, and Melvin Valley Road, which comes off of Barnard Hill Road over to beyond the Gun Club and up to Chris Bolton's, and then it takes a right and goes to, I believe it's Mary Hadley Road. So what we're looking to do, our winters have been a lot milder and not as cold, not as much snow, and we're having trouble navigating this stuff safely, these areas safely. What we would like to do is put in some fill in these areas and upgrade the road. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to help us, but it's also going to help especially Peasley and South Road in the eventuality of either fire or a rescue, the necessity for fire equipment or rescue equipment to get in there. Right now, as it stands, the chief says that he cannot get in there with any of his equipment. They need a UTV and they do not have one. So we're not looking to bring these up to Class 5 standards. We're only looking to bring these up to a safe standard so we can pass with our equipment without damaging our equipment, and for the riders to be able to ride without hurting themselves. So that's it in a nutshell. Did I need to do anything else or just open this up now? Is that what you do?
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Anyone like to comment from the public? Come on up. Could you say your name, please?
A very simple question. My name's Walt Farnham. I'm one of the abutters at the Gun Club. My very simple question is, what is the egress or setback from that Class 6 road? How far back does it go? Does anybody know?
I don't know offhand. I'm not part of the town. I'm just a volunteer at the Snowmobile Club. But typically, these roads run between 2 stone walls. There are 2 defined stone walls there. I don't know any more than that.
Okay.
Naomi just got up to get the print, so
Okay.
we'll get that answered.
All right. It was just a question. I'm in full support of them doing the upgrades. The club had asked me to come in and put my yay into it, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I volunteer with the Piscataquag Watershed, well, now it's the Piscataquag Land Conservancy.
Yeah, Mr. Erickson, could you state your name again?
David Erickson, Poor Farm Road. So I monitor 2 properties that are under easement. One of them on Melvin Valley Road, and one of them called the Bob French property up beyond Fern Pond. And you guys are great partners, keeping those roads open, cutting out trees, giving us good trails for walking as well as winter for snowmobiles. And as I understand it, ATVs are not allowed.
No wheeled vehicles.
So those those are what create the damage that you're repairing. So anyway, good partnership, and it'll be great for me. Maybe I can get in there in my car instead of my truck when I'm monitoring these properties. Thanks.
I know you told us last time. What are you filling it with?
We're just using gravel product. It's called erosion control stone. There are no, well, there may be some powder in it, but it's not like a knit pack or an 1.5-inch crush where it has fines in it. It's just stone product, so it won't erode, and it won't, any water that filters through it won't cause problems on the downstream side, if you will. There's no mud or anything like that to it.
Thank you.
The Melvin Valley Road was laid out in December 8th of 1821 and 33 feet wide.
33. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment?
Yeah, just your information.
Oh, sorry.
Are you okay?
So I did.
Are you okay?
What's that?
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So I did bring the, there's a landowner permission form. I don't know what format you need to do with that. If it's just the chairperson that signs it, or if you authorize town administrator to sign it. I did not fill it out as to the location of where we want to do this. As you know, it's Melvin Valley Road that I'm applying for a federal grant for. We also would like to do on Peasley and South Road, but that's out of club pocket. If it ever came to an opportunity for us to put in for federal or state money for it, then I would come before you again. Or if you authorize someone to sign these permission forms, I could drop another one at that point in time.
Any other public comment? Last call.
Tom Flaherty, Sunrise Lane. You just made me think of a question. The work that's being done here, Phil's being brought in, who's paying for that? Is it through a grant, or is it?
This would be for, do I need to get up?
Yes, please.
This would be from, this particular one is a federal grant through the Recreational Trails Program. This is gone, it goes through the New Hampshire Bureau of Trails, but it's federal money, so we have to adhere by, there's a strict set of rules that go by it. We can't cut certain, we can't cut any trees between April and October 31st because of the, there's a concern for the northern long-eared bat, which is now an endangered species now. There's also, when we submit our paperwork, we have to submit detailed area of where we're working. They plug it into their system and it'll kick back out whether there's any environmental issues such as endangered species, could be a toad or a spider or something, or a plant, and they'll let us know if there's something, if it kicks something out that there is some sort of environmental impact, then we have to do a deeper study. And that's all through the Bureau of Trails.
The match, is there a match though?
Is there what?
There's a match to that.
So, our recreational trails program is an 80% match on, so if, just say I'm using $100,000, they're gonna give me 80. I have to come up with 20, but the 20 that I come up with, my 20% can be in labor. And they have specific rates for everybody, whatever you're doing, a machine operator or just a guy with a shovel, they have specific rates. And for us, anything $25,000 or under, we can cover that with just man labor. If we get up a little bit more than that, then we have to start talking about club money for it.
Just to reiterate, zero town dollars, so.
What's that?
It's zero town dollars regardless.
No
So-
town dollars. We're not asking for any town money for any project. The Melvin Valley project, should we get awarded a grant, would all come through that grant. And any repairs that we do on Peasley/South Road would be, at least at this time, out of the club's pocket. Like I said before, the last meeting, as it stands now, without grant money, if it is out of the club's pocket, that'll be a several-year project. We just can't afford to do that all at one time. There's too much work there.
And that's both labor and product, correct?
Yes,
No,
our labor's just all volunteer hours, so we don't pay for that, for the most part. I mean, we do hire people. We've hired Jeffrey Brown to do work for us in the past. and other contractors, but generally speaking, it's pretty much all club members that are volunteering their labor.
A product as well, so we won't be supplying any fill or...
You won't be supplying anything. You won't be supplying anything. The only thing, as I mentioned before, and this may be the Conservation Commission, if you wanted us to block off that access, the way the four-wheel drive trucks are getting into the town property from Peasley Road, that, I don't know, 600 acres or something that the town transfer station's on, that piece is being accessed by off-road vehicles. And that, that's something that I haven't even looked at yet. If there's roads in there, it may be something that I could approach the Conservation Commission and ask them if they'd allow us to run a loop through there. If they would, we'd put the gate in on our dime. So that's another option too.
And you haven't talked to them at all?
I have not. I haven't even looked at it yet. I didn't know it existed until I drove it with Jason. So I didn't know that was an issue. Jason knew that there was vehicles getting in there, but he didn't know how until we drove down there and saw where they were getting in.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion of the hearing and open it up to the board for discussion. I'll start. Jason was here last week and he was in favor. Jason Fisk, the DPW director, so he was in favor of the upgrades to the information we've talked about this evening. So just wanted to remind everybody that even though he's not here, he did voice his indication that he was in favor of the projects last week, or 2 weeks ago when we met.
As did Chief Rourke by email.
That's correct.
The only question I have is who to sign. Like, I'm happy to make a motion, but I don't know, do you want to sign it? Do we want the town administrator to sign it?
I would suggest that we have the town administrator sign it since the paperwork's not filled in.
If I could just add, being my first time in a federal grant here, if I make a mistake on something, I'll need to do it again, and you don't meet for 2 weeks, and that's beyond my grant date. So if we could have Naomi authorized to sign that would be great.
Well, I move that we authorize the town administrator to sign any paperwork necessary to allow the Ware Winter Wanderers to upgrade portions of both Melvin Valley Road and Peasley Road / South Road.
Can I amend that to say at zero cost to the town?
Sure. No, and I guess it does make me think of another one. Because you said one's a multi-year project, are we even allowed to say, hey, you can do this thing that may be 3 years from now? Or are we bound by, a 1 year box? Like we could do Melvin Valley right now and say our intention is when you're ready, and then...
Well, for several years, the Snowmobile Club has a letter in its possession that the selectmen, long before you let them use it as Class 6 trails, but we didn't spend the town doesn't spend any money on it. So come winter, they groom them, they take care of them, it's trails.
Yeah.
It's part of a corridor trail that the state of New Hampshire pays the club to groom, and that's what the grant aid's for. I mean, we're not making it highway worthy, but it is a trail, and it's going to depend on funding as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question at all about Melvin Valley Road, but are we okay to say, a blank check for $0 for Peasley Road, South Road, in the future? Can we even do that?
If that's an issue, I can come back next year.
I don't know that it is.
You know what I'm saying? That if you think that it might be I don't want to say hardship, but if it might cause a problem for giving permission for something that's going to take place over multiple years, I can come back next year.
Give a 3-year window.
Yeah.
Put a termination date on there.
I would think in 3 years we could do what we want to do. If not, I'll come back.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm not trying to overcomplicate it, I'm just thinking, like, if I was sitting here,
No, I understand exactly.
5 years from now, and you're like, well, I got blanket permission.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and things could change for us, that we have to dedicate money to go elsewhere and have to
Yeah.
leave that alone for a year or 2 years, we don't know. And if you want to just do it for a 1-year thing, saying that, good till December 31st or this calendar year or whatever, that's fine with us.
I don't see what
Did you
I'm
tie
saying.
it to the length of the grant? If the grant
Well-
is a
Well-
multi-year grant?
But it's two different, Melvin, so we kind of put two things together. Melvin Valley Road, which they're doing the grant for, and they were all good, that's happening really soon, very, very soon.
Well,
And secondly-
Melvin, so this RTP works different than my grant and aid stuff. My grant and aid stuff moves fast. The RTP stuff, I probably wouldn't get any permission, probably wouldn't have anything happen until 2025. I have to have my money in now, but then the wheels stop, because it's federal.
But very soon you need our permission to get started.
Yeah, I need that by the 14th,
Yeah,
yes.
right. So Melvin Valley's kind of in one bucket, Peasley Road, South Road is kind of in another bucket. But I guess you raise a good point that the work on Melvin Valley is in yet another time bucket. Yeah, I think,
You could do it at the end of 25, and then he
yeah, you'd said 3 years. I don't see why not.
Nothing says you can't come back after that and ask for more permission.
That's fine with us, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, if you want to do it every year, you want to do it a couple of years or 3 years, that's great with us.
Just don't want to be overburdensome. That's all.
Whatever you guys got to do, you have an obligation to the people that voted for you. I don't have that obligation, so all I have to do is ask you if I can do it again. It's up to you.
All right, then can I further amend my motion to say, it was granting authorization to expire, I'll just call it June 1st, 2027.
So how do we keep track?
That's a good question.
I mean, there's plenty of stuff that slips through the cracks. Do you want to create something that can?
Yep.
I agree. It's cumbersome having to come back all the time, but it's also 4 years from now, he's out there and, oh, what did we say? How do we know we can do that?
Thought you were about to have a good idea.
No, I ran out of good ideas. If somebody wants to improve something in the town, I'm not sure I want to say no to that anyway.
I agree.
Would be of the notion to remove the time limit.
Are you willing to second again the?
Without the time, without?
No, it hasn't been seconded.
Nothing's been
Yeah.
seconded.
Oh, I thought you had. Maybe that was one of the other public hearings.
So
I like the time limit.
just for your information, there are other entities constantly improving Class 6 roads in the town. I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but you know who they are anyway. So, I mean, it's up to you how you want to word it. I understand you said, no time limit. If you want to make it 3 years, that's fine. If you want to make it 1 year, that's fine. We don't care. But it's easy enough for me to come back next year. We don't have to start, it wouldn't be like we'd be starting from the very beginning. You'd already know what we're doing. You already see what we've done already. It would just be an extension. If you want to do that, that's fine with me.
I would like to leave my motion at 3 years.
May I make a suggestion then? Instead of, if you're going to do 3 years, instead of going June, go to December, the end of the year.
That's fine.
That's our work period. Our work period is usually towards late summer, fall.
Okay. So amend it again, December 31st, 2027.
Anyone want to second that?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed?
Nope.
Anyone abstain? Okay, motion passes 3-1-0. So when you can get together
I will.
and get the paperwork.
On behalf of the club, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your improvements and your efforts. That closes the public hearing related to Where Winter Wanderers upgrade of Class 6 roads, Melvin Valley, Peasley Road, South Road at 8:06 PM. And we've already talked to Joshua, so that brings us to department head and committee items. Chief Moore, would you like to go first?
Sure. You got one first? Okay. We'll start with, I created a request for proposal to put out the concrete base foundation work at the East Fire Station. Of course, you've seen we've got the plans. I would like to point out when writing this, on the plans it had an inspection process. I talked to two-way communication. That inspection process is typically done by the contractor, being the concrete company. I did put in here under the scope of work.
Chris, you have all the copies.
Oh, sorry. That'd be all pomp. Under the scope of work, I wrote, the town may elect to have its Division of Public Works complete the clearing and grading portion of the project. That may be the only hiccup I see with it, since they're responsible for the inspection. They might not want to sign off on that liability, since essentially they're guaranteeing our work, if that makes sense. So they might want to have control of that. Of course, that we can work that out once we get it. That's the only hiccup. This is a pretty standard RFP for the concrete work. We are still waiting, and this won't be quick. We're still waiting on the anchors, which will go into the foundation from the tower company. I emailed my contact at Two Wait. I'm still waiting on a response to that to see what kind of timeline that will take. I've already submitted the building application, which will take 30 days or so. So we're tracking, we're moving forward. This is the next step, getting the RFP out for the concrete to identify a company and schedule the work down the line.
On the back page, we picked a submission deadline for Friday the 5th so that you guys could open them on your meeting of the 8th. And in the meantime, the project can be looked at and we can still move through the 90-day part of it as well.
Can you repeat, what's your reservation on the inspection?
So a previous board wanted DPW to perform the pre-site work, which is essentially excavation of the hole, running a conduit, a culvert from the hole to the building where the wires will be run, because the components are going to be stored inside of the building. On the actual site plans, the foundation site plans, it says the inspection process has to be completed at interval stages throughout the process, and since the concrete company is the one who's going to be guaranteeing and inspecting their work, they might not want our DPW to perform any work on it. As you're aware, we've already had the geological survey, the soil's compacted, it's firm, but if you read the site specification on drainage and how the gravel bases have to be set up depending on the drainage, they might want to perform all that. So that was the only thing I saw. That fly's been around here all night.
So there just might be a change in scope of performing the work.
Yeah, they might want to strike that sentence where you guys have, you have the ability to elect DPW completing the clearing and grading portion of the project, which the previous board stated they wanted.
I think, and I'm not speaking for the board because I wasn't there, but I would think that possibly they wanted that because of the
cost savings.
the cost savings
Sure.
associated with it, so, and
Yeah.
that's all I can say to that.
We could even just loosen it up a little bit and say the town would prefer to have its
Oh, we can do that.
Department of Public Works
Easy enough.
if possible.
I don't know if we need to, because the town may elect, we may not elect.
But how do they put a proposal together, not knowing what we're gonna do? And if we instead say, we would prefer to do this work, and they say, great, have at it, or the proposal may say, no, we have to do this work to do it right. And then we can,
So if that's the
Assess
case,
that.
then you probably want them to bid it both ways with him without doing work.
We'll clarify with them once we start getting some proposals actually in. That was just a hiccup I saw when I was drafting it. And with your approval, we'll get it out.
Any other questions, comments for the chief on the bid? Mr. Drury?
Good with that.
Okay. All right, so I believe we need to motion to send the bid out? Correct?
If you're okay with it, we can supply it
Okay,
As amended.
as amended.
yeah,
We'll just make the fix and we'll post it.
okay. Think we're all in all okay?
Yes.
All right. Topic number 2.
Topic number 2 is the law enforcement agreement between the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the Everett Dam patrols. They were delayed getting that to us on our end, so the typical period for summer patrols is May 1st through September 30th. We didn't do any in May, I don't believe, just waiting on this contract. I just need your permission for me to sign it since it is a contract. If we were to do every patrol during the entirety of the contract, it would be $9,204.48. Like I said, we already didn't do 1 month, so usually we're in the $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 range for some patrols. And last year, we used that funding to offset the cost of the 2024 patrol vehicle. So. Looking for a motion for me to sign the Everett Dam contract.
can you remind me where the money actually goes? It's a fund just for
It's
that, right?
general fund, Beth tracks it somehow, it's all, she can tell you how much is in there. Or I can through her.
So does it go into a special fund or into the general fund?
Goes into the general fund and then she tracks it with a couple of different ones with like a sub-account.
Okay.
There's a couple of, she's got tracking the same way.
Thank you.
I guess I'll move that we authorize the chief of police to sign the amended contract with the Army Corps of Engineer with any received funds to be deposited into the general fund.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, take a vote. All in favor say yes or yea.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain?
I did not say yes, and I meant to say yes. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm not sure I heard 4, so, I'm gonna say yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that passes 4-0-0.
And the last item, if we want it tonight, or it can be another night, the disability accessible parking for the Patriotic Festival. Did you want to do that tonight?
Let's do that tonight.
Okay, so this is, we do this annually. This is just to establish the 6, 7, or 8 spaces that are boarded by Center Park on the south side of East Road as temporary disability accessible parking in support of the Patriotic Celebration. It'll begin at 8 o'clock Friday, June
21st and end at 8 o'clock a.m. on Sunday, June 23rd. DPW posts signs, and we put out public notice. We filed this once you approve it with the town clerk. And I'll give it to you if you vote, and then there's actually a signature for everybody.
Does that match what we did last year? I remember
Yes.
extending it.
Same thing.
Extended to Friday?
No, actually, I did it from Thursday to give everybody plenty of notice. So I did change that. This one's Friday. I started on Thursday last year. I'm starting on Friday morning this year. Because it actually starts at noon on Friday.
I think it's 3.
Is it 3? I was going to be in my cell at noon. That's probably why I'm thinking noon. I'm already pre-planning.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember why, somebody had made a good point. I don't even remember.
The apartments across the street park there?
No, it was why we had extended it, and I thought, I don't remember well now. I thought it had to do with people getting there to set up.
That's why he doesn't start it till Friday. Because if you
Okay,
park
okay.
it, if you put it on there Thursday, those people can't park
Okay,
it online.
I was thinking like, have it
The
there
other
for
way.
anybody, yeah.
So if he does it Friday morning, they should be pretty much set up.
Okay,
And
perfect.
then, yeah, instead of Thursday.
Good.
Any other discussion? Any other questions for the chief? Okay. Do we need a motion to sign this, or just sign it?
Where it's got all your blocks, you don't need to. Because it'll be taken to Maureen, she'll sign it, and then we'll give it back to the chief and he'll post.
Yep. And while you're signing that, that's all I had. If anybody's got any questions of
You
me.
want to give the good news to the public about the auction?
About the auction?
Vehicle auction.
Oh, so both vehicles went to auction. The Dodge, from what we understand, I have not seen this in writing, got $13,500. How, I don't know. Because I put a note on there, the transmission is shot and will need $5,000 worth of work. Wrote it right on the bag with the keys on it so nobody could have missed it. The Explorer got $5,000, so we did quite well at auction.
Yeah, there's a percentage that they take.
Right, but yeah, so did very well at auction considering the work that was going to need to go into those.
That is, wow.
It was, yes, it was very wow. No takebacks.
Yeah, another sign of inflation.
You're gonna take it, Maureen?
Yep,
There you go. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Hi, come on up. Going to talk about the asbestos abatement bid for the Barden property, right?
So I'm Mike Camacho, here for the Ware Conservation Commission. On our May 8th meeting, we opened the bids for the demolition project at the Barden property. The low bidder came in Always Wrecking, and we had some further due diligence to do, so I took on that task. I called the references, they all had glowing things to say about Always Wrecking. I looked up the license for abatement work. That's current until about Thanksgiving. I forget the exact date, but November 20-something. And then they would just have to renew if the project went beyond that. And insurance, we got the insurance certificate. Just a couple edits that need to be made, but everything looked good with the certificate. So that leads us to approval from Board of Selectmen for our recommendation of having Always Wrecking perform the demolition work.
And what was the price on Always?
Always Wrecking, $17,971.
And what kind of time frame are they going to do the work over, did they say?
We haven't spoken to that yet.
Any questions for Mr. Camacho on the bid?
Maybe not for you, but where would the money come from?
Conservation,
Which fund though?
our fund.
Their conservation fund. So I think the idea was, and Mike can correct me, they gave Mike the task because Mike kind of took charge, and so Mike was to do the due diligence within the 60 days so that next week they if you approve it, I believe next week they'll sign the contract, conservation will come out of their fund. That was the plan. He did the due diligence with the reference, the insurance, checked on those other things that he just explained to you, and then it was to come here because it's town property, but then they would go do the actual contract because it's coming out of their conservation fund. Which is similar to what we've done with the Felch Farm. They signed the contract for the timber once you guys talked about it, because it is town forest money. But this is conservation fund money. They have the right to spend it.
So all we're authorizing is that we're
That they're
allowing the
okay to
work to
move
happen.
forward.
We're approving
You're approving their allowance to move forward.
Any other questions?
No.
Does anyone like to make a motion?
Move that we accept the, I guess, recommendation of the Conservation Commission to accept the bid of Always Wrecking, the total of $17,971 with funds to come from the Conservation Fund at their next meeting, or maybe don't say
We
when,
need to
just in case.
they have to sign the contract.
Yeah, just,
I would just say that with them signing the contract.
okay.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes or yea?
Yes.
Thanks,
Anyone
folks.
opposed?
Oh, sorry, I didn't let you finish.
Anyone abstain? I'm gonna, passes. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Mike.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
appreciate you coming in tonight.
The other is not gonna occur tonight.
Okay.
I didn't, there was emails back and forth about not coming
Oh,
tonight.
he wasn't coming.
Okay.
But we'll reschedule that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not dead, it just
No,
can't
no,
happen
I
tonight?
think I put it on for the 17th.
I think that brings us to manifests. To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated June 6, 2024, as included in the following manifests. Payroll, $83,115.90. Accounts payable, $130,665.77. John Stark accounts payable, $578,228 even. And Ware School accounts payable, $400,000 even, for a total of $1,192,009.67. And since there's no selectmen meeting scheduled for Monday, June 10th, to order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated June 13th, estimated to be approximately $95,000. Further, to order the treasurer to sign an amount up to $80,000 for accounts payable that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion in the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say yes or yea.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, it passes 4-0-0. Alright. We have two sets of minutes to go over, 5:13 and 5:20. First one from May 13th. I do have a few. Just in the section from 64 to 75, I'd just like to note that I did ask Mr. Dearborn the same questions that I was asking all the applicants. Maybe not in the exact same format, wording, but I did ask him the questions. And line 106, at the end, the report shows, if we could add that in the beginning of, there were only 55 calls, the report shows.
What number line?
I'm sorry, 106?
Yep. Only shows.
And line 121, instead of was out, will be out.
On 121?
Yes, was out at the beginning of the line, will be out.
We got the guests, Jason Stock. His name is actually spelled Jasen. I know that because I get his emails. Line 39. Says this committee will serve the pleasure, it should be served at the pleasure. And line 44, where it says Mr. Erickson, the committee, I believe it should say Mr. Erickson said the committee. Line 48, Jason's name is Jasen. Line 72. That we're running, and he said. And then line 74. It should say, Mr. Dearborn said, I'm just saying I have no idea. Line 93. I believe there should be a period after straightforward.
And a capital D?
Yes.
Okay.
95. It should be after document. It should be or rather page 2 and 3, not on page 2 or 3. Let's see. That's it.
Line 40, there's the word members with an apostrophe. I don't think that needs an apostrophe. 150,
Hang on, board members. Where it says 6 members?
I just have my note where it
Okay.
says members with an apostrophe to not members with an apostrophe.
Yes, 6 members.
Remove it?
Remove the
Just the
apostrophe.
That's what I thought. Yep.
Line 150, it currently says the BOS will look into where they can / if they can pay the 1960 from, but the from doesn't work with if they can pay. So I just reworded that to the BOS will look into whether they can pay the $1,960 and if so, from where. And then the only other one I had was 221, 222. There's language of a motion, and I didn't write down the current language. But it was a motion that kind of meandered and amended and whatnot. So I went back, watched the video, and put it together. So it should be, Selectman Bloom motioned to approve the New Hampshire Timberlands Association to host a forestry tour on Felch Farm pending verification from town council that the liability insurance that we've received is adequate and approval from the DPW director. That's it.
Okay, to approve the NHCOA
to host a forestry tour
yeah,
on Felch Farm
Felch Farm, yeah.
pending verification from town council that the liability insurance that we've received is adequate, and approval from the DPW director.
Okay. Any other changes? Motion to approve the May 13th minutes as amended this evening. Anyone like to second that?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes. May 20 minutes. We did May 19th last time we were together, just in case anybody thinks we're skipping over them. We've already completed those.
I only have one, 192. Would be, she would be brief, not she be brief.
In the paragraph starting with 79, I'd just like to mention that I referenced RSA 66975 as our authorization for making the appointments. Line 130. I believe it was an operating plan and a closure plan. So not just a closure plan, add operating as well. Anything else? Motion to approve, I will motion to approve the May 20th, 2024 minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes.
I'm gonna send these down to you. There's 3 cemetery deeds. And if you want a little further discussion on the abatements, but there's 3 cemetery deeds for 3 new lots. Doesn't require a motion, but it is on my report. I sent you guys an email back in May 29th on Wednesday. You had me reach out to the planning board to see if anybody was willing to step up to be a temporary appointment to the ZBA. I only had one person. I had some no's and then one person. So I don't know how you want to do that. And then I know there was discussion about maybe one BOS member. Not sure where you want to go with that. Everybody has been notified that there's no meeting tomorrow night. The RSA allows them 90 days from when we receive the application, which they've all been notified, but the July 9th meeting kind of has to occur. So right now you have 1 and 1 alternate. You can survive with 3. That's why I think you discussed the planning board and the board of selectmen last time.
A resident said that they were interested and they were going to email you. I told him that's the proper way is to
Yeah.
email you, not to talk to
Yeah,
me.
and rule of thumb you've done with everybody is to sit through a meeting. So I explained that the next meeting was July 9th at 7:30, so we kind of have to fill the spots.
Yeah, I'm not saying we don't. I
Oh,
just
yeah,
wanted
for
to
one meeting.
mention that there was someone else interested as well.
Yeah, it was a resident.
Not necessarily for July 9.
Yeah, no, so they did reach out.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what you want to do, if you want to just move down and you guys can get back to that.
So we
Is
have-
there any way to temporarily appoint them?
You can in the situation we're in.
Through,
We have to,
Do we
we've got to
know-
do something. We
oh, I
can't-
know,
yeah.
but legally.
But,
do you-
well, legally, you can be on the planning board as well as the zoning board.
Yep, so you can have up to 2
And
members.
so can a selectman member.
You can't have more than 2 members, right? That's
Correct.
what it is.
Yes.
But he would have to fill a position on the planning board. He would have to be appointed to the planning board, I believe. You can't just
Zoning.
appoint as a temporary.
Zoning.
I'm sorry.
But yeah.
Okay, I was.
Yeah, we were getting confused.
Yeah.
I was. Yes, he would have to be appointed to the zoning board, and your question is, can we do that for some period of time less than a normal tenure of
Well,
1 to 3 years?
I would think if it's a temporary
That was-
assignment, it was only going to be till you get enough anyway, right? That's
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Well,
I'm just-
yeah, I had the same hang up.
Through the RSA.
Are we even allowed to?
Right.
So my preference is one of us suck it up for the short term and then fill the seats as we can, and then, because we can rove about legally as needed, but I had the same concern about, like, if you put somebody in a spot, you can't just take them back out.
Right.
So
That's the way.
Can you appoint him for a month, just to get you through your business?
I don't know that we can. Because it talks about like staggered terms and, 3, 2, 1 years and whatnot.
Okay, so you're
I
going to
haven't
appoint,
seen
so
anything.
you're going to appoint one of you, but you still don't have enough. You only have 2.
But one of us would make 3.
You have an alternate that is very green and very uncomfortable with becoming a member until he sits through a couple of them. He's the gentleman that,
Yep.
Right,
here.
but he can come to the meeting. He would
Oh, he would
technically
come to the
count
meeting,
as a-
right,
as a-
but he can abstain from it, and that doesn't help you at all. We're in a mess, we know that, so.
So if we move this out to the next meeting.
To the
so we can at least
17th,
research
yeah,
stuff.
as long as you promise me you're gonna do something,
Yeah.
because I have to send out a notices for everybody for the 9th. And if the 9th doesn't roll around, I don't know where it's gonna take us, because one has an attorney
Could
that
you
applied for June.
reach out to NHMA and just ask?
Sure.
About the temporary appointment.
Yeah. Sure, I can do that. And then potentially for 17th, if we
Yes.
get the answer, okay. You guys, I forwarded you the email, the, owner from H2O came in about the complaint as how he was gonna resolve that. I've got a little bit of cleanup on the other, but nothing that I can write home about right now.
The
On the
H2O
other two.
response was very thorough.
Yes, yeah, and he was gonna go
Appreciate
meet
that.
with all the residents, cause he wasn't sure which one, but, you did so the IT vendor wants to talk about this anti-terrorism training with us, but it would have to be non-public. In talking with Beth, she suggested that we maybe wait until August and then have a discussion a little bit. Doesn't have to be done tomorrow. He wants an hour. I've got some dates that I'd like to share with you on that. I'm gonna skip over the abatements unless you wanna talk about that.
While you're still with the IT guy, did he respond to the
Did not.
server down?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Can you ping him on that? I really thought we'd have it by the end of
Yeah,
May.
I did too.
We really didn't give him a firm date, but he had said 2 to 3 weeks, so didn't figure I needed to nail him down.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna try to do it before, but.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the 2 tax abatements, I think I sent them to you today, and my apologies. One of them is kind of a long scenario that the tax bills, and then they get sent to the wrong address. One is asking to have $139.01 waived, and the other one has to do with a new camper, not knowing that they could send the registration in as of April 1st, even though it was registered in February. As I indicated to them, that we don't have the authority in this office to do anything, usually less than $5 if it's postmarked. You have to take the postmark, and sometimes depending on the tax bill. So that's why the request was made to you on both of them. I have them here, but you can, I know I sent them late.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know I didn't get a chance to read them. I figure it was probably after 3.
Well, even at your next meeting, if you want time to think about it, the next thing is before they're due,
Okay.
so if
Okay,
you
we'll
want.
put that on them next time.
Yep, please.
Reminder, we have about an hour at the beginning of next meeting taken up with the site walk.
So you sent an email?
I did, I sent 2 today, board members.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, last time I checked my email, it was like 5:30, so it would have had to been after that.
I didn't check
It's
since
done.
3.
I mean, that's building permits,
All right, I'll back that off, I'm sorry, I'll send them. I thought I had sent. Sorry about that. The interim fire chief, Chief Burke and I are gonna meet, I don't have a day yet, he was gonna text me a day today. We're gonna meet this week and kind of lay out a plan so that on the 17th you will have the plan in front of you to know what we're gonna do. He's agreed to move forward with us, so we'll put together a plan for you.
Wonderful.
The building permits I did send you, I just sent you 3 deeds down. There was an email exchange about conservation for Forester work session. And then Steve and I had one today that, you know, summers are difficult, so what I was going to offer, I got it here somewhere. So my thought on the work session, to let us get into summer is, I'm Wednesdays of it, the Wednesdays are available. I'm assuming you're gonna do this, because there's nothing you need to talk about privately. It's gonna be more a long process than what you're looking for. So I'm looking at July 17, 24, 31, those are Wednesdays. And the reason I say that is because I'm gonna ask you if you wanna do your cemetery trustee training on Monday the 15th or Monday the 29th of July.
You got the July dates again for the Forester contract
The
discussion?
Foresters would be 17, 24, 31.
I could only do 17 of those.
I just want to give that to them next week. 17, anybody else got any other? 7 o'clock, Salem? Would that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Should be fine.
Should be good with that.
You're okay? Janice?
Should be.
James?
When was that again?
I tried
July
not to pick
17.
another meeting that you had to. July 17th, it's a Wednesday.
Should be
So-
fine with that one.
Okay, so let me go down, I'm gonna hop down. Cemetery trustee training, do you wanna do Monday, July 15th, or do you wanna do Monday, July 29th? I picked around calendar dates on the calendar.
I would prefer the 15th.
15th?
How long is that training gonna be?
I guess, I sent you all those sheets, she basically will go over it with us.
Somewhere around an hour.
I don't think it'll be
Yeah,
more than
it's-
an hour.
It's fairly lengthy, so I would guess.
Yeah, well, she'll buzz through it, and I think you guys all have it, and it's more question and answer, we did that before with her.
Good.
I do have 3 people who said they would be interested in volunteering as cemetery trustees, and they would be interested in running for the office should it become an elected position again. So if we're amenable to that, I'd like to put out a call for volunteers with the intention of those 3 people applying and anyone else that might be interested. And then appointing 3 people for a period of 2 years. That would give us.
Yes, because you're gonna have to
this
put it
year.
back on the ballot to go back on the ballot the following year, so you're gonna look at 2 years out.
Yeah, that would give us 2025, making it back into an elected position effective 1 year from that date.
Yes.
We could also just have people help us out and not change the law, but, or not change the vote.
I think that,
You know, if somebody's willing to do it, I don't see why not, but
Um,
we don't have to make that decision until February-ish or January, I guess.
but your call can go out now.
Right.
Can we time it so that we get people in and then do training? for
That's why I
everything?
brought it up.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be
Yeah,
nice
because
to-
you would meet, you could actually, if you did the 15th, Yeah, because you're meeting the 8th as well, so you could have time if you ran it for 2 weeks now. You'd have more than enough time. You could interview on the 8th, they could come to the 15th. That would work, calendar-wise.
I like that idea.
You like that? Okay. So you want them to let me know by the 8th? Or, I'm sorry, before the 8th?
Yeah, before
so-
the 8th,
okay.
yeah.
So do you want to do it like the 5th?
Whatever's appropriate.
Friday the 5th?
Yeah. I don't have a calendar that, I don't know how much time you need to look at things, but just a list of names shouldn't be too difficult.
No, that would work, and then they could attend as well. Good point. All right. I would like to, as you see on non-public at the end, because I think we've reached a real crucial point. We got to do something with the building inspector. We can talk about that after.
So I did talk to Katie and Marianne, they're strapped, and they're really fielding some calls that aren't too pleasant, so they needed some relief. I told them I would let you guys know.
Thank you.
Yeah, so then, I sent you the weekly one, I just left that ongoing so I could continue on that. The signatures, you're missing Benji, so I just moved that off.
Yep.
Energy Committee, you heard at the public, we need to have a discussion on that at some point a little further. Jason is working on the PBN, I just wanted to let you all know and congratulate him and his wife, they had a baby.
Awesome.
Little
I was
girl,
wondering.
so he's in and out. We're still staying in touch, but everybody's doing fine, and congratulations to them. On the horse sheds, Tom Flaherty and I, there was a presentation made to us in renovations of the horse shed to apply for a grant. Tom and I talked Wednesday or Thursday last week, put together what you saw. I sent it to you guys and I posted it because it's not, he's kind of like, the Snowmobile Club is a similar situation. They need to have a number to apply for. In order to have that number, we had to come up with the RFP. We did come up with the first RFP, and you see that I had to do a revised RFP for the mere fact that we forgot about asking in their project overview to provide waste disposal and to pay all the fees. So I didn't want us to be caught short. Our demo, we cannot accept any demo free. So at that point, I added number 7 to the revised one, and it's out there. And the intention was, when Tom and I talked, was we would get them Monday at 4 to bring in on the 17th. So on the 17th agenda, you'll see that there'll be an opening of the RFPs so that they can, that still works for your schedule, right? It still works for their schedule to apply for the grant.
Okay.
So that's why you saw the revised, it was just that one simple line. You also saw, according to the state law, how we have to handle going on a site walk and then coming back here.
Can we
For-
carpool to that?
Say that again?
Can we carpool to that?
I don't care.
Well, I mean, legally.
Can you legally carpool?
Yeah.
Guess there's not more than 3 in a car. No, I'm just kidding. No, we've posted that we're gonna meet there, but it doesn't matter how you get there,
Okay.
is my point. And then you'll walk what he's talking, they'll meet you there, the butters were notified, sent out letters, and then we come back here, and I didn't wanna do it right away, so we're gonna do public comment, and then this is gonna be scheduled for 7:30.
Okay.
You all have that paperwork, do you need it again? Do you need it refreshed in your email to bring it closer to the top?
Doesn't hurt, but.
Okay. All right, so that,
Yeah, that was the driveway? Is that what you're talking about?
what's that?
The driveway?
That's
talking
that
about?
driveway on
Yeah.
1015 River Road, yes. IT, I'll get on that. Legal services, that's been out for a while. I have not heard from anybody, but the bids are due July 8th.
No questions or anything have come in?
No questions yet,
Okay.
unless they're all gonna wait till July 5th, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really changed much on the back, and I actually didn't add the 13 right-to-know requests that we're working on.
The East Road, when we talked last week, we wanted to have a meeting with the lawyer. Can you tell us if that's been scheduled?
Is that what you just said to me, though? You've done everything you could do? That's a different
No.
article.
Different.
All right. Sorry. Do you mind doing what we did, like we did the other day? Can you guys,
Zoom is fine.
I hate to ask, can you guys do like a quick Zoom meeting on the other one? Meet with the lawyer?
That's fine.
Probably.
All right, if I just sent you out a date, can you just let me know? I'd like to do it at lunch. I hate to bother your lunch, but.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'd rather do that personally than come in for
Well,
a
it's
meeting. but-
easier, and then you're not paying travel time
Right.
either.
Right.
That's it.
And on the police dispatch, I think we discussed several
sole
meetings
source,
ago that
sole
we wanted
source.
the sole source.
But you needed a letter.
We want
That's what we're
something
waiting
from
for.
Chief Moore on sole source, single source justification. He verbalized it. I would like just,
We asked, yep. I exactly understand what you meant on
Okay,
that one.
thank you.
Please, the one thing I didn't get finished, it's on my desk, I've almost done, is the CBA, for your signature, that will happen on the 17th.
okay.
50. I think I'm gonna email the planning board again because we've been waiting on the engineer services. Do you think that's been long enough, Janice? You were there that evening?
When I went to the first meeting, they said they would tackle it at the next meeting, which they said they would, at the next meeting, said that they would look at it like the next meeting, and I think the next meeting was canceled, so.
I was at.
And then they've met again since then.
And they said they would look at it for the next one.
For this one coming? Yes. Yeah, I'll remind
Okay,
them again.
well, tell them we really need it this time.
Yeah.
They can't push it.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, we
then
can send it
IT
without them, but
Sure.
that's what's gonna happen if they don't.
And then the
provide
rest
any
of them,
input.
IT, did you guys?
I
look
have
at-
all three of those. I
Okay.
have not provided any drafts.
Okay.
I got my major log project done, so I'll be working on that
Okay.
coming up soon. What I did share with Naomi earlier is Article 25 resolution. I just shared that with her before we started our meeting. The background work, I've done everything that I can on that, so I'm ready to give that all to you, and we can talk about how we want to move forward on it. So if you remember, I passed around this matrix that I was developing, and just to show you what I was doing with it. And I've gone as far as I can, so we can talk about that sometime coming up on
You
what we want
wanna,
to do.
17, 8, what do you wanna do?
I think it'll be a little bit more than a 5-minute conversation,
no,
so
okay.
probably the one after that, maybe?
All right, I'm just gonna put 7, 8 question mark. We just, as we try to keep things moving. The Center Square headstone, I'm just gonna get an email evidently about the, I'm sorry, I'm under the awareness items.
I believe that's the one
The
that,
request would come,
yeah,
Okay.
that Betty wants to come,
okay.
so that we can
Because of
accept
the
the
amount, it
donation.
has to have a public hearing in time.
Yeah.
Because that's not just under 5, it's like 35,000 or 31,000 or something, so that need a public hearing. I have not had a chance to look at elder care, or Collins. The right to know, you know, I shared you the 13 more, we're working on those 13 more.
And then, I don't remember which was which, but we got a handful from somebody out of state, and last year, at least, we dealt with those
But
same.
didn't this house just pass that? Yeah.
HB
House just passed.
1069.
What's that?
House Bill
Allows-
1069 just passed.
Allows anyone anywhere to request
Anywhere.
information,
Yeah.
not just citizens in New Hampshire.
So we've got the 13 from a resident and the ones from out of state that Beth and I and the chief were pulling together, so.
And what, at least on my copy of it, on my computer, like, the text was just stacked.
Right, so
Oh.
I gave that to the chief, and I said, I don't know about you, but I can't read it. You can enlarge it, and you still can't read it. I can't, unless there's some fix, I can't read it. It's all written over each other. Whether, I think you type in it and it just squinches it all together. It's one of those PDFs at the perimeters, so then it's over each other's text. I even tried to go bigger to see if I could try to make it out, but it won't. It's still written over each other.
I didn't
But
try
I
it,
did
but
forward
bet-
those to Chief Moore.
I bet if you select it and copy it, paste it into something else.
I could find
would-
it.
It would.
I didn't try that.
So, but
I'll
I-
ask him, yeah.
I hadn't spent time on it because I know these are out of state. Who cares?
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Okay.
So there's like 16. I haven't really done anything more on this list. That's all. I would ask, one thing is, I did search through the listserv with my other colleagues in the other towns about the 18 years and older for like a background check. So a lot of them do it as part of onboarding. I did take a stab at, whether you want to add another policy or not, I did take a stab at a background check policy for personnel working with minors and seniors. It's just a one-pager. If there's something out of there, I'm sorry I spilled my water on it, but the first one I'll keep. But most of them do it as an onboarding. They don't do it, you know, we wanted to put it somewhere in our personnel policy. They do it as an onboarding because they're usually seasonal, but that doesn't mean we have to do it that way too. Go on and binges, yeah. So it's just something, I know you'd asked me to take a stab at it, and I reached out, and no one really did it in their personnel policy. I've got several copies of people's personnel policies, so I took a stab at trying to put together maybe a small one-pager that talks about the purpose, the scope, the background process, confidentiality, disqualifying factors, compliance, and conclusion. Kind of those are the top ones. Again, you're just seeing it for the first time. You guys can take it under advisement. You know, you've hired pretty much for this year. And if someone wants to take a stab at putting it in your policy, I don't think you can put it in there, but again, it's just an attempt to, I just want you guys to look at it.
That's helpful.
Appreciate you doing that.
Hang on, let me look at my list before I say that's it. I don't have that.
So you're gonna add this to your list so we don't forget it?
I will, and I'm gonna add CBA too.
Okay.
That's all they do have for, except, yeah, no, that's all they have. Get the wind blowing over here.
Under correspondence, we had some information about parking at Isley's. And the fact that the no parking signs that are there aren't from the town, so. Has this business, do you know, gone through anything related to the planning department? Was
Yep.
there any
They went through
discussion about?
They went through site plan review
Any
10
discussion
years
about
ago.
parking?
I wasn't part of it at that point. I know this is the 10th year,
Okay.
but they went through site plan review.
Is there records available that we could see what they said about parking then?
Yeah, I could ask them to pull a file and site plan, sure.
Yeah.
I think the chief gave you quite a recommendation as to what to do. You still have to have a public hearing to put signs up.
Yeah, but I just want to know
Yeah,
what they
just-
said before.
What's
before
there,
we-
the little ones that she put up there.
If they told them they had to have X amount of parking, then,
I honestly don't know.
yeah.
We can pull the file.
Yeah.
Problem is they're world famous here in Ware,
Right,
so.
yeah.
No. I can imagine it's a problem.
I can have Katie pull the file, we can scan it and send it to you guys.
I'm driving on 77 this weekend, and I was, oh, can we go there? That's cool. And then 3 cars in front of us turned that way,
Yeah.
like, well, maybe we won't.
You know, we missed yesterday, rode the street, but usually wait for an hour. And it's worth it.
Is it
But
really?
definitely sympathize on the traffic.
We also had correspondence on South Sugar Road about an odor.
Oh, Katie went out, I don't know, she and the chief went out Friday. So I don't know the outcome,
I'm
but
sorry,
I
I
can
missed,
ask that.
I missed recording that, thank you.
Yes.
So we'll get a report on that.
Yeah.
was also correspondence about a highway department driver on 521. Did Jason look into that?
Was that highway or?
No, I wasn't, I don't think it was specific to highway.
It was ours.
Yeah, I think that's what they meant, but I think they said highway department, but anyway,
I think they just said town truck.
yeah.
Yeah,
or
I
maybe
had
they
read
did.
that as the pickup truck.
Me too.
So, did Jason look into that one?
No, I haven't seen Jason since I only got a call.
True,
from him.
but, has that been forwarded
It's
to
the
him?
silver truck out front.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'd like to discuss that after.
So that's not a Jason action, just to
No,
clarify.
it shouldn't be a Jason action.
Did we get any feedback from legal on the ethics question?
Yeah, she said it today, she sent it this afternoon, I just have to forward it to them, but they're not meeting again till July.
Can we see it?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't mean it that way, of course, no, I'm just kidding. She sent it like at almost 5.
Okay. And did the NH Timberland Association field trip have any issues that anybody's aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Good.
I guess no news is good news.
Yeah. Any other correspondence or other business?
I did want to say Park did a great job opening day. My wife and I went down. I sent an email to them, but, yeah, it was, we usually try to go when it's less busy, but we went right in the heart of it, so. They did a great job. They were directing people, friendly.
Okay.
So,
It's always good to hear
Very nice.
positive feedback. Anything else? Okay.
Hello? I was late getting here. Any chance of a public comment?
Sure. Come on up.
Tim Matheson, 80 River Road. Welcome aboard, everybody.
Thank you.
I'd like to commend the road agent, Jason, doing an awesome job. He's been doing stuff with less, for example, plowing snow with the smaller trucks, slopping roads instead of using 10-wheelers. So my comment to him, he's doing good, he's approachable. He always comes with his notebooks and right on the ball. Another thing, a week and a half ago, this is probably the 5th time I've done this, the town hall door, the front entryway, the north side door, the striker doesn't hit the center mullion, so I shut that. And the window, the bottom window near the fire exit is very fragile.
Are you still talking town hall?
Excuse me?
Are you still talking town hall?
Town hall, I'm sorry, yes. And the front doors to the library, I stopped there. The second time, the front doors are open. There's a D-Tex crash bar there. It should alarm when it's open, so either the batteries are dead, but at any rate, you gotta wait for the fire to come or the police to come. But if they would leave a key so someone could reset the dog and someone could lock the door, that'd be good. What else? The cemetery, Pine Grove. I've been looking at the markers on the trees, and I think that's very unfortunate that, I really hope you guys take another look at that. There are 47 trees there. If you look at the 2 that are left, what is that going to look like? You know, it's ironic that the sign is broken, the post is broken on Pine Grove Cemetery, and it's leaning against a big pine tree, so if there's no pine trees there, it's no longer Pine Grove. But it's gonna look like hell, it's gonna burn up everything. You know, the trees hold a lot of water to the ground. There's probably, the way I look at it, there's probably 9 trees there that need to come down. But there are actually about 47, I think, that I counted, that are banded to come down. But please, go out there, take a look at it, view it from different angles, and just imagine what that would look like with those trees cut down. And I don't know if there's any money to grind the stumps, or the money within the walls or outer walls, but it looks like the majority of the money would be out of the walls. And I didn't hear anything about replanting anything. But just please go out there and look at it. You know, go to the Johnson and look back at it, look from the far end, but without the trees there, it's not Pine Grove, and it's just, it wouldn't look very good. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, we appreciate the feedback, and thanks for helping out getting all the buildings closed up. Okay, set the schedule for next meeting on 6/17.
So I have 6:30 to meet at the River Road for the sidewalk for the right-of-way acceptance. 7 o'clock I have called order and pledge of allegiance, then I have public comment. 7:30 I have the public hearing to hear the public testimony on the sidewalk that we just did. Under department heads, I have discussed CC invoices with conservation and discussed the plan for the interim fire chief with Chief Rourke. I have open RFP for horse shed renovations for the grant application. Then I have manifest minutes, administrative support, correspondence, other business. Set tentative agenda for 7/8 and adjournment. And I think we're gonna add something. We were going to...
The ZBA discussion.
And then the 2 tax abatements, do you need that as a discussion, or just you're gonna review it, or what do you wanna do? I just put next week, so.
Since I haven't seen them, I'd say put it on the agenda, and if we have just a small discussion and get them done, fine. If not, we have some time dedicated to it if we do need to have any kind of discussion.
And then I got a couple.
Anything else for 6/17?
I will say you did well to keep all 3 on track tonight with public hearings.
And I only screwed up the name of one of them.
No,
So, sorry about that.
I was curious how long that was gonna be. That was a good job.
The only question is doing the site walk and getting back here by 7. Is that enough time? I don't know which part of River Road this is. I haven't done that drive, so I don't know.
Yeah, you go down you go down,
I don't know if it's
Peasley
on.
Hill, take a right, just up on the ground, but just halfway up the hill on the right-hand side. There's a fire cistern there.
Okay, so it's enough time, 30 minutes, do the walk and get back.
I thought it was 7:30 though.
Right, but, do you wanna start at 7:15 or something? Her concern is to 6:30, get back here for 7 for start. That's what her concern.
I had heard you say it was 7:30 start.
Yeah, so I did
No.
6:30 to do the site walk, but in between I have call to order and pledge allegiance, public comment, and then 7:30 for public hearing. So concern being, can we get back here for 7? Do you want to call it 7:15?
I think so. And can you get down there by 6:30?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll eat on the way.
all right. So I think the modification would be
Just 7:15.
change to 7:15.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else before I motion to go into a non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2B? Motion that we enter a non-public session under RSA 91-A3, Roman numeral 2B, to discuss hiring a building inspector building inspector code enforcement. Thank you very much. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Janice, yes. Mr. Bloom?
Yes.
And Mr. Drury?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
And then you're gonna adjourn after?
And we will adjourn after the non-public session.